actual Linux on a phone is a real weird mixed bag type of product. Linux has become a legitimate market in the desktop space, in the laptop space, let alone the server space where it's basically the server space. Yes, there's Windows Server, and yes, there's some other things, but Linux is the main thing for servers. But when it comes to phones and other portable devices like tablets, it's never taken a real hold. There are devices like the PinePhone, which exist but are very, very expensive for the kind of hardware you're getting. This is basically like a 2013 smartphone, priced like a 2025 smartphone. The much better route that a lot of people tend to go is take a regular Android device and then just run Linux on that, using something like a post-market OS, using Ubuntu Touch. Both of these have a relatively sizable list of devices. Obviously, a lot of devices are just not going to be possible, but you can still pick, the OnePlus devices, some of them at least, some older Pixels, some Xiaomi devices, some older Galaxy devices, and of course, some phones are going to be a better choice than others. Things like the Fairphone tend to be a pretty good choice. And then there are companies out there actually selling devices like this. For example, Fury Labs with their FLX1. Now it is the S model. I have the regular model here. It is a bit of a chunky one. It's not the most modern specs, most modern design, anything like that about it. The new one is a lot more akin to that. But whatever route you go, it's gonna be a pretty small group of people. There's not that many people that are running Linux on a phone. Also, there is some argument about whether taking an Android phone and then using Halium through something like Ubuntu Touch is actually a real Linux phone, because when you're doing that, basically what you're doing is taking the Android drivers and then running them with a Linux kernel. So it's like a mix of Android and a mix of regular Linux, and yes, Android is Linux, and yes, it's not Linux, and it really depends on how you want to define it. But again, at the end of the day, no matter whether you take a device that is built from the ground up for Linux or an Android device, it's still a pretty small group. And recently, people may be aware of a new device soon to be available, the Jolla phone, not to be confused with Volla. I presume it's pronounced Jolla and not Jolla. I'm gonna stick with Jolla. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comment section. Jolla is a Finnish company specializing in privacy-first operating systems and edge AI solutions. Founded in 2011, we continue the legacy of Nokia and MeeGo, driving mobile innovation into the human-centric AI era. Lots of fancy corporate buzzwords. We develop Sailfish OS. We'll get into that in just a bit. The only European mobile operating system trusted globally for over a decade and now enhanced for AI-driven applications. Our app support technology enables Android apps to run on Linux platforms. This is something that every single Linux Android device is capable of doing. Our privacy-focused Jolla Mine 2 AI computer delivers secure AI capabilities across industries. You're not going to find a single tech announcement in 2025 going into 2026 where AI is not mentioned, so just, keep that in mind. And if we go over to the Sailfish website, we'll also see the device being mentioned. So Sailfish is like Post-Market OS. It's like Ubuntu Touch. It is another one of these mobile Linux distros that you probably have never interacted with unless you're operating in this very small space, but this is the company that also develops that. If any of this sounds familiar, this is not the first time that Jolla has sold a phone. Going back, we have the Jolla C2 community phone. This, I believe, went for sale early this year, and it's a phone, right? Like, it's definitely not a crazy old-looking design. It's not the most modern of modern things, but look, it's somewhere further along than where the PinePhone is, but you're not looking at, like, a modern iPhone. Frankly, I think smartphones have been fine since 2015? Yeah, somewhere around that point. it really doesn't matter that much. And much earlier on, they've had devices like the Jolla mobile phone or the Jolla One, the Jolla tablet, and various other things throughout their history. And they've even gone and licensed some of their tech for things like Sailfish X for running it on the Xperia devices, and this Gemini mini computer thing. Gemini not being the Gemini AI many years before that. Now, let's go over to the pre-order page and take a look at the device. And besides the giant-ass notch, which does kind of age the device quite a bit, I do overall like the design of the device. I do like that a lot of these smaller phone companies are sort of bringing back the idea of colored phones, because that was a thing that basically everyone was doing for a long time, and then it kind of just, like cars, right? It just gradually set into a couple of basic things. You have the black phones, you have the white phones, and get this, okay? I know this is going to sound really daring. Gray or silver phones. What? No, you can't do that. And here we have an orange phone. And I like that. Oh, white. I don't know what happened. I think I pressed spacebar. Yes, do more of this. I heard about this from Reddit and then my Discord, but I'm not the only one that was kind of just surprised this came out. It was kind of just shadow dropped. I guess people in the sailfish and Jolla community knew about it happening, but like for Onyx, they didn't get any official announcement about it, and they have a press area on the website, and they made a press document for it. But I don't know who this press document was sent to. I don't know if it was sent to anyone. Maybe it was just sent to like major tech outlets, because I don't think anyone in the Linux space even remotely heard about this. Now, this device is going to be a limited batch device. They know they're not going to compete against, you know, the biggest companies in the world, and trying to do so is just not going to happen. Canonical has tried to do so in the past with the Edge phone, and that was a, well, that device never existed, so, yeah. This device has a €99 pre-order fee, which is fully refundable if you just don't want to buy the device, and is currently sitting at $5,526. When I went to record this video, when I went to plan this video, I think it was at like $5,186, and that was 2 days ago. Now, they are going to have a hard limit of devices. There is a maximum of 10,000 they'll be doing for pre-orders. Specifically for pre-orders. I guess if there is like a massive interest in the device, they will do further batch orders. A lot of companies that are doing these small-scale orders have been doing this. If you pay any attention to like the handheld computing space or handheld emulation space, basically every company is like funding their device through this model. And with the €99 just being a way to guarantee a spot, there is no guarantee they'll actually sell this many devices, right? People might refund it, people might say, oh, I don't want to buy it now, there's something better on the market, I don't have the money right now, so this is how many spots are reserved. It's still a matter to see what people are actually going to buy. And the full price of the device is not yet actually set. It's going to be between €599 and €699. So this is not going to be a cheap device, but again, this is a limited run device. It is a small batch device. You kind of have to expect that prices are going to be higher. And this is why they are higher with the PinePhone. They don't sell that many devices. You don't have the economy of scale that something like a Samsung or an Apple will get. So it's just something that naturally has to happen. Is this outside of my price range for a phone? Yes, I don't particularly have that much interest in phones. I usually buy some like middle range 300 Australian dollar phones. That's like $200 US phone once every 5 or so years. So this is not a device for me, unless they want to send me one, but this is not usually going to be a device for me. And it is worth noting, because this is a whole European thing, it is intended for the EU, UK, Norway, and Switzerland. That doesn't mean you can't buy it in other areas, but support may vary, and especially in Australia, where we have companies like Vodafone, which have a whitelist of devices. So if you're not on the whitelist, your phone is just not going to work. Others like Telstra do a better job there, but then you got to deal with Telstra. That's a whole other problem. If they hit 10k pre-orders, they'll be bringing back what they call the other half. So let's go check out the forum post on what that actually is when their forum decides to load. Thank you, Discourse. Every Discourse is like this. The other half is a swappable back cover that does more than protect your phone. It transforms it. The original Jolla phone from 2013 pioneered this with open I2C interface and NFC-enabled covers that change themes and behavior by just snapping on. We call those ambiances. Further, as we release the specs and 3D drawings in the other half dev kit, it enabled the community to make their own the other halves. This was something Jolla was truly pioneering in the industry way before the bigger brands explored similar ideas. Basically, they're gonna have a thing we can snap on and do NFC. NFC nowadays is a pretty standard feature on phones. I don't like it. I'm not the kind of person that likes to, people pay with their phone. I don't do that. Maybe I'm just old, it's not my thing. But I know a lot of people do like it. With the new Jolla phone, we're taking the other half even further, and we'll open source the hardware and software interface specs so anyone can design, 3D print, or produce their own modules. Primarily, we plan that the new other half interface would be based on I3C. Basically, it's just insert tech into a cover, and you can do magical tech NFC things that a lot of other phones can already do, but everything is going to be open and you can do whatever you want with it. This device comes with a 6.36-inch screen. Of course, it's 5G because it's a modern phone. It has a dual nano SIM, always a nice feature to see. 12 gigabytes of RAM. That right now is probably going to, make the price a little bit higher than it otherwise would be. There are companies that are now releasing phones with even less RAM than they already had because of the whole, DRAM fund shortage we're in right now. So, that may have to change. The price may have to change. We'll see where DRAM prices are when they go to actually properly sell this device, which should be the first unit in January of 2026. So, yeah, good luck with the pricing on that one. 256 gigabytes of storage, expandable up to 2 terabytes, always nice to see. Of course, it ships with Sailfish OS because they are the Sailfish OS developers. It has the whole Android nonsense app support. User replaceable back cover with color options. So, you have white, black, the orange. I always love when companies name the white and the black they have, and it's just it's the same. It's literally the same color. Every single look, maybe it's one shade different. I can't tell the difference between 100 different shades of white and 100 different shades of black. It also has a user replaceable battery, which is something which you just don't really see on that many modern phones. There are a lot of these repairable phone companies which are starting to do this now, but on the major providers because of, their argument's going to be because of water and all this stuff and dust, but you can build a device. It's just slightly more difficult and has to be just a little bit thicker. Also, it has a physical privacy switch, so you can go and actually physically disable the microphone, the Bluetooth, and things like that, which, again, also nice to see, and it is something that a lot of these privacy devices have been doing. As for that battery, it's going to be a 5500 milliamp hour battery, which is a totally normal-ish battery size. It's not exceptional, it's not horrible, it's a battery. And it's got other things you'd expect from a phone, like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and a camera that's a camera. Again, people like to argue about phone cameras. Phone cameras have been fine for 10 years. I know camera people, like, oh, I want a better camera. Yeah, that's cool. And like, I literally don't care about cameras on a phone. And this is the fun part. So many devices are like, the Steam machines have kind of done a similar thing where it's like, we will have some sort of high performance chip. So we don't actually know how fast this device is going to be. And that, I think, is the biggest question on whether or not it's worth it. Because the rest of the specs look, actually pretty good. What does this mean? What exactly does it mean? However, even with all of the niceties you're seeing here, keep in mind, Linux phones do have some pretty big drawbacks, even with the ability to run Android apps. Because whilst you can run an Android app, there are apps that are built specifically with the whole Google Play integrity in mind, and Google's magical nonsense to make things actually safe by their definition. And a lot of games don't work. A lot of banking apps rely on this stuff. So whilst you can run Android apps and things like, Facebook Messenger are going to work, and a lot of other apps you're going to use will work, do note that sometimes you will run into things that cannot function. And this is just the nature of any of these devices, whether it's the Fury Labs device, whether it's something running post-market OS, whether it is the Jolla phone. This is kind of just a problem with trying to run Android stuff outside of a proper Android ecosystem. As for the regular Linux apps, though, are they any better or worse than random things you find on the Play Store? They're kind of about as good. One thing I think that is really cool about this device is how the specs were chosen. They did everything through polling. Now, obviously, some things can't be done. Some things are going to be too expensive. They polled for, like, what people want the price to be. So there's, like, limitations for what you can do based on, what things actually cost and being able to make money. But you know what? I can respect this, because if people don't buy the device, if people don't like the device, you literally had people saying, this is what I want. So I wish them the best of luck, and I hope this goes well. I think creating Linux as a proper device SKU in the mobile space, it's gonna take a long time. It's still a long way to get there, and I would really love to see it, but do I actually think it's going to happen? With how ingrained Android is, like, it's so difficult for developers to justify going back to regular Linux, even on, like, the desktop space with Windows and Linux, where the way we get games onto Linux isn't by people actually porting stuff to Linux, it's by literally having a translation layer, but we don't really have, such a reliance on Windows software. The main issue with phones at this point is how much reliance there is for just regular basic things like banking, like ordering food, things like that, where previously it would have been a website. Now it's an app that probably requires some Google nonsense that you can't actually use outside of an Android ecosystem. It's even a problem outside of a, like, proper, official, OEM ROM. It can be a problem on some of these third-party ROMs that people install onto the devices, so it's not even just a Linux problem. But, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you interested in a Linux phone? Would you buy a device like this? Would you want it to be cheaper? Would you want there to be something in the price range of something like this one? I'd love to know. So, if you like the video, go like the video. I'll leave the pre-order page link down below. Go subscribe if you want to go subscribe. And if you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon, Scribes, Daily Bearer Pay, linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and don't you guys have phones?
Money that I don't accept.